Hi, let's talk about the lifebook category, emotional life. Currently we're in the 4th or 5th week of the corona quarantine, at least in Denmark. And in this period there's been a lot of uncertainties that's made people feel really insecure, and a lot of frustrations have been boiling up just in general among people, and everybody seems to be trying to figuring out what to do and how to feel. So this is a perfect time to talk about the emotional category. And I brought my beautiful life book with me, and you know, a funny thing is when I started looking at the emotional category, it's one of those that's been quite challenging for me. It's been challenging because with the rest of them, I've been making vision boards where I've been putting in the vision of what I want to be like in the future. How do I want to look in the fitness and health category? How do I want to be perceived intellectually? What kind of person is this? I want to speak in front of a TEDx stage or whatever. Emotional category is a little bit, for me at least, feels more fluffy. And it's been one of those that's actually made my vision of this area really, really difficult. And I've had to fight a lot with it, and I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it, and I think that's really important as well, to realize that everything you do, if we take a line here, on one side you can perceive it in a very negative way. Everything is happening to you, and the world is cruel, and it's a test, and you need to show how strong you are, and so it's about survival. And on this side, you choose to look at the opportunities of what is happening. What does this new situation allow you to do? What is here that would not have been there before? And what is the universe trying to show you? Now, I'm sorry for mentioning the universe, but it has been one of the areas that this category has... I've found a connection between this category and the spiritual category, because for my sake, in some points I needed to just let go and believe that the universe is out there doing its best for me and moving things into scenarios where I get the opportunities to live out my life and my dreams. Having that kind of approach allows me to see the same situations and be really thankful for what's happening, or being just curious of figuring out what is supposed to happen now. What am I not seeing that's just waiting for you? What do you need to explore? Or maybe ask yourself, this scenario, this situation right now is perfect, but how can I make it better? So there's a lot of initial thoughts for my sake, at least, regarding this area. I also want us to touch upon the standards of the lifebook category. That would be our premise on this area, our vision, our purpose, and our strategy. Since the vision has been really hard for me, what I found, I've ended up deciding this is more of an explorative category for me, where I'm trying to figure it out. I don't have a vision, because I actually do enjoy how I'm reacting right now to everything. And then I just have to say I'm trying to emulate what I'm doing now and figuring out what I want to be better at and how I can do that. Okay, so let's go into the more structured part. The premise of my emotional category and my view on this, I've actually been exploring this a lot, because one of the things I believed in when I was younger was that emotions are stupid. You respond, you sometimes regret what you did or what you said. It was simply just stupid. You could not trust your emotions on a long-term basis. That's not the premise I want to run with today. That's not the premise I encourage. Instead, I actually believe in emotions being your heart's compass, that it's there to tell you whatever you're doing. It's a reward system, or it's a system that tries to protect you. Every emotion you get is there for a reason. If you're angry, it's because somebody didn't meet your expectations, or some of your boundaries were crossed. It's there to try to protect you. If you're fearful, it's there to make sure that you survive. If you're happy, it's to tell you, please do more of this. If you're sad, be aware of it. Try to figure out what started it. We have so much wisdom from our emotions. Next thing is, I believe that emotion, this is a little bit classical, and anyway, emotions could stand for energy in motion. Emotion. And I really love that phrase, because I've found in a lot of the things I do, I get so much energy. Whenever I feel passionate, I can go to the top of the mountain. Whenever I feel frustrated, especially right now in the Corona times, I've redecorated my entire apartment, fixed the sink, the window, painted. I've been doing so many things, trying to figure out how to tap into the emotions and use them for something really good. It's a little bit into the strategy parts as well, but that's how I respond to it. So I really believe that our emotions can be an extremely impactful factor, like the fuel to get things created in this world. I also believe that we should look at our emotions whenever we want to do something. If it's something we don't want to do, the emotions is going to be a barrier. You don't want to do it. The emotions are stuck there. It's a bad feeling. If you can turn that around, you will start doing some of the things that before was difficult for you, and it will be easy. You know what I hate? I hate taxes, and I hate looking at the taxes. And the tax system we have here is something to cry about sometimes. And I think it's confusing. There's so many things that you should be aware of. I really hate it. I feel ignorant. So that emotion is stuck with me every time I have to do my taxes. Every year I feel miserable for 2 to 3 weeks, if not a month, where I try to avoid it. Then I finally do it, and then I feel good because I just did it. Imagine if you actually just felt really good about it. You enjoy, you know what you're having there, and everything is just in order. It's a confidence that your life is aligned. It gives you satisfaction. When you're looking at the sheet, you're like, yes, it's still aligned. Do you think you would do it immediately instead of having bad conscience about it for a month? I know I do. I'm still fighting with it. I'm not saying I'm perfect with this. I haven't cracked the code, especially with this one. But emotions can really help us. And when we're having these feelings, it's a good place to start looking at it, trying to figure out what are the barriers and try to deconstruct it into something that's simpler. So the vision, this is the one I'm struggling with, because the vision of how I want to be emotionally is how I feel, more or less. I would love to be able to react a little bit more with gratitude in more situations. I would love to be able to shrug off things easier. But else, all in all, when I have issues, I sit down and I think about it before I react. I actually, if I'm doing something, I do take the time to figure out what started it. I've always been a person that thinks a lot, so in this way, this is part of me and part of what I love about me. And it's a good emotion for me, so I really like it. I will just say one thing. I've been researching a lot on this category because I didn't understand it. Here you're seeing a wheel about emotions, trying to picture it in, well, first of all, let's see, 8 different primary feelings, and those are in graduation. So from the inner part, it's very strong feelings, and then it goes out to being less strong. When you combine one of the 8 primary feelings, you get a sub-feeling. For example, if you have vigilance and rage, that results in aggressiveness. If you have ecstasy or serenity, joy, combined with vigilance, anticipation, and interest, you get optimism. It's not big magical things, but I think it can be helpful to take some of these things and try and deconstruct them. So some of the strategies, just by Googling on emotions and control of emotions, that was the first thing pops up, is a 6-step guide on how to react to it. And the first thing it says, step 1, don't react right away. Reacting immediately to emotional triggers can be an immense mistake. Step 2, ask for divine guidance. Spiritual. Step 3, find a healthy outlet. So when I said I got frustrated, this time I could go out and punch people. Oh, I actually couldn't, because then I would be touching them. But else I could destroy things, right? That's not healthy. Instead, I'm creating. I'm making my apartment look better, and I'm painting and drawing and writing stories. Making this is ways to get out some of those emotions as well. Step 4, see the bigger picture. When you got that emotion, what is the bigger picture regarding what triggered it? What started it all? If somebody said something to you, was there a reason for it before, to see the relations of it? Okay, step 5, replace your thoughts. Yeah, what does that mean? Replace your thoughts? Well, you can look at the same thing and see if you can see it in another way, right? And step 6, forgive your emotional trigger. You're doing the best you can, and be thankful for being you. Another strategy in all of this I very much like, especially if you are not strong in the emotional category and you don't understand emotions, or you maybe get confused in it. And I would say like this: even though I feel like I'm strong in this category, and I feel that I'm good with other people and understanding what they are going through in life, I still like to monitor myself. And one of the things I've been doing is trying to figure out, if I'm doing something, what emotion does it create? Now, once you do a lot of things, then you can start building a repertoire of actions giving emotional results. If you turn it around, you want to feel this emotion. So I want to feel happiness and satisfaction. Okay, what can I do? Well, I can go home and paint. I can go play badminton. I can creating in general for me, or doing a lot of exercise gives that emotion for me. If I want to be sad, let's find the best of Adele's songs, just really turn it in, sit in the couch and snug up, and then read some old texts or letters from ex-girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever, and think about how everybody has been mean to you. It's a way to get it. You will feel it. Another one is being lonely right now is very, very normal. And how do you cope with that? Realizing I come from a country where we have something called hygge, and hygge is all about like snuggling up and taking care of yourself, and the best thing would be a roaring fire and snow outside, a blizzard there, and you're just thankful for being in the now. It's such an amazing experience. There should be candlelights, there should be coffee or hot drinks, cacao would be even the best, and some candy for the kids, and a little bit of strong liquor for the adults. That is part of hygge. However, right now where we are being alone, it might not be the best way of coping with this, because if you're feeling like you're sad and you want this hygge feeling, you can't be with anybody else, but you can definitely drink a lot and you can eat a lot of candy. Now, how does that actually work to serve you in the future? For me, it doesn't work, at least. And I'll just encourage you to try and monitor your actions and realizing, why are you doing these things? Is there an emotional trigger, or you're trying to satisfy something like this? And if it's like something like this, for example, pick up the phone, call your mother. They would love to hear from you. Your sister, your brother. Tell them you love them and you miss them. I'm sure they would love to hear that. I would. Anyway, from inspiration by Neil Donald Walsh that wrote Conversations with God, he has a challenge where you make 7 columns. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That should give 7 columns, 1 for every day of the week. Then you divide it into morning, evening, and night. What do you say? Morning, midday, evening. Write one emotion that you would like to have. This is like a real challenge for you. What would you like to have? And then try to figure out ways to get that emotion. And then try to play around with it. See how if you can just challenge yourself to actually get that emotion. And how did you do it? It's a game, and I really encourage you to try it. I've kind of been talking around the purpose thing. Why do we want to do this? Why do we want to have an amazing emotional life? And for me, I don't want to be reactive. I don't want to be driven by my emotions. I want to be in control of my emotions, and I want my emotions to serve me, to drive, to allow me to achieve my dreams in life. And I do think that if you're not in control of your emotions, then it doesn't matter if you do something really brilliant, because the people around you will be able to see through you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So what I'm thinking here is, for example, you are trying to talk with friends or customers and you don't really mean what you're saying. You're not really appreciating, you're not really being present with them because you're actually feeling whatever you're feeling. Gratitude is a really, really strong emotion to build on, especially when you want to have future brilliant results. So for me, I really believe that tapping into your emotional power that can fuel everything else and make sure it comes from the right place can make the entire difference in whatever you do. I have a lot of references afterwards I would love to show regarding this. In general, I'd say for the emotional category, I would look at, of course, Lifebook's own references, 6 pillars of self-confidence. There is Google more or less just control, emotional control. You get some amazing articles, and there are some really, really amazing TED Talks about this. One second. And yeah, for example, there is the history of human emotions. It's good to look at because it actually tells us that some of the emotions we're having right now is we don't actually understand our emotions all the time, and it's very much a cultural thing about the culture of what you're supposed to feel. And it, for example, mentions that in the 1700s, people were actually being proud of being sad. So sadness was something people were celebrating, just like we celebrate happiness today. So you could feel sad and smug at the same time. So just be aware that emotions is something that is really connected with how our society is made and how we've been growing up over the last 100 years. Another one is you aren't at the mercy of your emotions. Brilliant as well. Another one is the gift and power of emotional courage and why you feel what you feel by Alan Watkins. Also, I will mention on YouTube there is one of my most preferred videos on empathy by Life School. It's amazing. It's one of the things I pride most in myself is being able to be empathetic and understanding other people's empathy, understanding other people's emotions. And I think it's a really strength. and it's part of my vision to be able to do more of that. So I do study these things to be able to understand people better.